Hi, welcome to You, Me and Mediumship. Tonight I want to talk about being in Spirit's shoes. I've spoken of it before, and I just want to highlight a few parts of that, basically because it's been discussed on Patreon, in the lessons I teach on there, and it comes up quite a bit, and it kind of puts you in the right frame of mind of how to engage with that communication with Spirit, to look at it outside of the box, if you like. Look at it in a different way, in a different perspective to what you've been taught in the past and what your understanding of that communication is. So we all understand by now that we, as spiritual beings with the energy, with life source within us, that being of the same of Spirit, that there is emergence of energy. That is what is happening whilst we're communicating. So we all understand that to a certain degree. So whilst some of the students sit, then obviously they experience different connections, if you like, some clairvoyance, some clairaudience, some clairsentience. And after a couple of months or so, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, we start then to open up that line of communication. I leave it a short period of time before that happens, depending on the student. If they are quite comfortable, if it's happening quite regularly, and especially if we are getting the same kind of clairvoyant image, if you like, the same sense, the same feeling of the energy is identical to that happened last time they sat, or maybe a few sittings back, but the same energy is appearing to them, then we start to open up that line of communication. Now, the best way of doing this is obviously, like it says, communicate. So it's important that we offer some form of communication and not just sit there like a lemon, which you will be surprised how many, especially people who are quite new, do that. They sit, they expect. And obviously one of the secrets is do not expect, just simply be in that space. Experience that energy, experience that environment, if you like, and just be still within it. So when the time is right and we feel that it's time to open up that line of communication as best we can, then we send out that thought. It can be simply something in thought, or it can be spoken out loud if you wish, if you're quite happy to do that. But if you are aware of that same energy coming in time and time again, and you start to maybe get a vision of who they are, then it's good to open up that line of communication. So we simply ask who they are. And then we wait for that response. We do not expect it. Very important. We just sit and we allow that response to come through. If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, fine. We can repeat the same question again, but we don't need to overdo it. And we need to understand that Spirit may not be able to respond at this moment in time. You may not be at that point within your development where it is quite easy for them to respond. So don't be disheartened by this. Don't think you're doing something wrong. The time is simply not right. So we can sit with that thought in the following sitting that we do, when we sit for self, when we sit for Spirit. We can resend the same thought in a week's time, whenever we're comfortable with it, and simply ask who they are. Would you like to introduce yourself? And like I said, await that response. It's important that we communicate and not just sit there expecting Spirit to do all the work. Your vibration of questioning, of thought, helps to open up that line of communication. It's the same if spirit offer you a clairvoyant vision of some type. The best way to start building that line of communication is to respond to that image, not simply take it. There are plenty of people I've seen in the past who will even now sit whilst doing a reading for somebody and simply state what they see. Now, a prime example of that, for argument's sake, say a cottage. So they will sit there with their sitter and they will go, cottage. They are showing me a cottage. And obviously that is just a random statement, really. The best way to deal with something like that when you've given an image is to question that image. So as the cottage comes in, question it. Is this your cottage? Something as simple as that. And you will start to sense those yeses, those nos, those replies. And that is what opens up that line of communication. That's what makes it clearer. So as that energy comes in, as you sense that energy, you question simply, who is it that I have here? And wait for the response. If there is no response, repeat that. Some of you who are already doing readings will sense a female energy, a male energy. You will sense a mother energy, a father energy, grandmother, grandfather. You have that ability maybe already to be able to sense what energy you are communicating with. If you're not sure, do not sit and struggle. Simply ask. So when I talk about put yourself in spirit's shoes, imagine yourself as spirit trying to communicate through a medium to a loved one. And there may be a fond memory that you impress upon the medium to give to their loved one. And now part of that may well be, like an example I just gave. Maybe it was a cottage holiday. Maybe it was a holiday, the last holiday they had together before that energy passed. So the more detail you can give within that reading, obviously the better it is. You cannot just sit there and make blunt statements about images that are coming through to you. So if you feel a female energy coming through and you feel that this may be a mother energy that's coming through, ask. Simple as that. Do not sit there straining away trying to work out if it's mother, grandmother, or give your sitter a choice of who it might be, because that is not clear evidence. This may be mum, this may be grandmother, might be great-grandmother. Saying that, it could be an aunt. I mean, you cannot run through the family tree before you get the right person. That is poor mediumship. If that energy comes through, you sense it's a mother, ask. Just send that thought out. Is this mother, is this grandmother? Then you will get your reply. Because the more you practice this, the clearer that communication will become. If you imagine yourself as spirit, placing or impressing these images, these statements upon the medium, and they are simply just repeating that image. Okay, it must be so frustrating. You need to open up that line of communication. And the example I've given before to many of the students is you wouldn't walk in a shop and walk up to the counter and simply stand there. Why do you simply sit there when you are opening up to spirit? We are talking about spirit communication. And communication is a two-way thing. It's important that you understand that. Communicate with your helpers, with your guides early on, as you are basically learning about each other to a certain degree. So communicate with your guides. Don't just sit there and expect them to give you all sorts of different types of information about who they are, where they come from, their life, blah, blah, and you sit there just taking it. Question, open it. Question what you're receiving. If you sense that your guide is a lady, for argument's sake, a Victorian lady, ask. I call it throwback. It's a bit harsh, but I call it throwback. So if you get that image come through of a Victorian lady, for argument's sake, quite simply say to her, are you Victorian? And await that reply. And like I said, that will strengthen your line of communication. There are many times you can see the weakness in that behind many a medium because of the way the statements are given. They are simply one-word statements sometimes, and at a push 2 words. So we need to relay the conversation we're having with the energy that surrounds us, the one that is merging with us. We need to get involved in the conversation between that energy and their loved ones and make it a conversation, not just a long list of statements. So if you have that feeling, okay, that cottage that you saw was maybe a holiday cottage, the time spent together just before our passing, ask the spirit. Don't ask the sitter. You do not want a sitter sitting there telling you everything there is to know about the energy that you have. That you do not want that. You are here to give proof. You are here to give evidence of survival of death. And by asking your sitter lots of questions, you are not doing that at all. Do not ask your sitter, ask spirit. Open that line of communication. Practice it whilst you're sitting for self, whilst you have that energy around you, you sense an energy coming in, ask. May I ask who this is? So it's important to work on that as hard as you can whilst you are sitting. I hope that's going to help. Just for many questions I get are related to holding on to the communication, to holding on to that energy, and that will help with that because you are then focusing the vibration from self, the vibration from spirit, that mergence. You are focusing on opening that up and making it stronger by simply communicating with them. There could be nothing more frustrating, like I said, if you put yourself in spirit's shoes. If a mum comes through to her daughter, she is not going to talk about the job. She is not going to talk about everyday basic things at all. She's going to want to give her daughter as much love as she can give her. And you will feel that when you have that communication at the right level, you will sense that love and that emotion coming through. And like I said, the more you communicate, the more you open that line of communication, the more you will feel and sense, and the clearer the evidence will become over time. It's something that you need to work on and to practice on. And like I said to one of my students a couple of nights back, it doesn't matter how you communicate with that energy, whether it be through thought vibration, whether it be simply in voice. If you want to ask out loud, ask out loud. Yeah, many people think you've lost the plot, but don't worry about that. That is how I work when I demonstrate, when I give readings. I will speak directly in voice to the spirit. The odd occasion, maybe I will use thought, but mainly I will communicate with spirit verbally out loud and ask them. This will, a lot of people say, well, surely if I'm having a conversation with the energy that's around me, I'm then slowing up the reading. If I'm questioning everything I get, No, because you will find as you question, it will become clearer and faster, and you will be able to give better information a lot quicker than what you do just sitting there waiting for something to come through, which is not good. Anyway, I hope that helps. Practice it, have a go, let me know how you get on. Please like and please subscribe, and pop over to Patreon if you're interested in learning about mediumship. I do one-to-ones. I don't teach in groups at all, so it's always a one-to-one scenario. There are many different tiers on there for you to have a look at. If you're interested in any, then please get in touch, and I'll put the link to Patreon in the description if you're happy to just pop over and have a look. If not, fine, but I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll speak to you all again very soon. Bye for now.